I'm left-handed. That's my excuse for fumbling around the computer. I'm still not used to being with such a distinguished group of gentlemen. I had the pleasure of having a graduate class with Danny Werfel, who was former Heisman Trophy winning quarterback for the University of Florida. Sorry, Chris. It was a pleasure until I had to follow him in this speech that we had to give. And he's captivating, obviously, with his career as an NFL quarterback and everything. So it's still a little unnerving to be up here. But just appreciate Cliff, appreciate everybody's remarks so far, and for the Georgia Center for Innovation and Logistics for hosting this event. It's been great. Just real quick, a few things about Havertys Furniture. We're an older company, founded in 1885 here in Atlanta with one store that did home deliveries with horse-drawn wagons. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not going to go there. We've just celebrated 126 years in business, publicly held since 1929. And we operate, the slide says 118 stores, but we're probably around 120, 121 stores right now in 79 cities and 17 states, mostly throughout the Southeast. As far north as Ohio, as far west as Kansas, and then down to Texas, and then obviously over to the East Coast, Savannah, Charleston, that area. We're down to 3,100 employees. When I started 5 years ago, we had about 5,400. But with the economic downturn that we've had to obviously downsize the company, and as a result of that, we've had to drive costs out and get smarter in the way we are approaching our supply chain, our logistics infrastructure. The team that I work on, we have 11 people that manage our supply chain and logistics operations. And we provide home furnishings that appeal to hopefully everybody in this room. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the store. Whenever I go somewhere and somebody says, "Oh, you work for Havertys," I hear one of two things: either the great experience they had or the really bad experience they had. And I think they want me to try to remedy the situation or something. But we currently source from 42 factories internationally, located in 6 countries. Our main origins are South China, Central China, North China. You can see the cities there, Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam, and Surabaya, Indonesia. Our primary domestic sourcing is from 3 factories in North Mississippi. We still do some sourcing out of North Carolina and Virginia, the traditional furniture manufacturing mecca. And obviously that's changed over the last 15 years as companies that began sourcing from China and Southeast Asia. We also have a few companies on the West Coast in Arizona and California that we bring in some specialty products from as well. Our current merchandising assortment is around 15,000 SKUs, active SKUs. And then if you combine all our lanes together for domestic international, you're looking at 120 possible origin and destination combinations. With 15,000 SKUs, you can get in the weeds pretty quickly. We have 4 U.S. distribution centers in Coppell, Texas, Lakeland, Florida, Braselton, Georgia, right up on 85, and then in Colonial Heights, Virginia, which is a new facility as far as receiving imports. We had it basically as a cross-dock, serving the Virginia market, the D.C. market, and a few years ago during the economic downturn, when we were looking for ways to optimize our supply chain, we decided we would start to flow containers directly into that D.C., and it's worked out pretty well for us. Our annual average volume is around 8,000 FEUs, primarily in 40-foot high cubes, but over the last several weeks, we've started to look at 40-foot standards as an option. We are going to be investing, hopefully, in the near future in some cube optimization software. That's kind of how we measure our cost, is by cube. And we might actually look at seeing if 40 foot's or an option for us. Furniture is a commodity. Obviously, it's large, bulky case pieces or upholstery, heavily packaged to prevent damage. It's floor loaded, so it's labor intensive when you're loading it in and out of the container. Real quick, if you are on the team that I'm on and you're using ocean transportation, I just thought I'd talk about some of the opportunities, challenges that we're looking at today. One of the opportunities that I see for ocean carriers is integrity. And I don't mean in the sense of be honest with us. Obviously, it means be honest with us. But more than that, it means consistency. It means looking at your services, your methods, and your message, and just being consistent day in and day out. What are you going to do about equipment? This week, are you going to have chassis? Are you going to manage them? And next week, you're not? We want to see consistency from our end with that. I hear chuckles like that wasn't supposed to be a joke. That was actually, well, maybe I should have added it for him. I'll let you do that first. Really, it's about remaining true to some core and principal business values that you may have in the face of the changing landscape of international supply and logistics. And that's almost a cultural fit as much as anything else for us, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Education. I believe there's a great opportunity out there for the ocean carriers, and I believe it's almost the responsibility of the ocean carriers to educate their customers. I don't own a vessel. I don't have a contract with the Port of Savannah. We use the Port of Savannah because our carriers call the Port of Savannah, and they do a great job. But that's your expertise if you're an ocean carrier. And with everything that you have to manage from an inbound logistics side, I don't have the time necessarily to spend 40 hours a week learning more and more about ocean freight and containers and what's going on in that industry. So education is critical. And then creativity. And what I mean by that is move beyond, and I was going to say move beyond kind of this point-to-point mentality. But I know that there are importers who actually are moving towards more of a point-to-point mentality because they're divesting their infrastructure and they're looking at their costs in each segment of the supply chain. But what I mean is be creative. Move from a transactional mindset to a strategic mindset. And then the challenges that we face, I just basically focused on three main challenges we have here domestically. Obviously, there are challenges in China with the rising industrial revolution that's taking place over there with labor shortages and the employees wanting more rights. There's some amazing things happening on that front. There's raw material costs that continue to escalate. But the domestic challenges we face are obviously the economy. What's going to happen with the housing market? When is it going to rebound? Our industry or our company is closely tied to what happens with the housing starts in the housing market. Are we going to see gas continue to increase? Is it going to level off? How's that going to impact our operation? There's just uncertainty out there in the marketplace, and consumers do not like uncertainty. We're also, like it or not, we are part of a fashion industry. I didn't know this before I started working in furniture, but people actually change their rooms out maybe once a year or seasonally. So you have to keep up with trends and seasonality in a way that's very difficult when you're facing long lead times and extended lead times. And then another challenge we have is our shipment volume usually comes in large surges and large production lots. But our distribution centers are set up to only receive at a level unloading capacity. And they do that so they can plan their labor. So we have to somehow take this large slug of containers coming from a port in China and then smooth it out over several weeks. We can do that with managing by arrival, order smoothing, and then hopefully negotiating longer free time with the carriers. Yeah, I said it, longer free time with the carriers. Yeah. If you would like to talk to me afterwards, if you would like to provide Havertys with ocean transportation or any importer really, here are just a few things that are important to us, and I think my colleagues in the business can hopefully attest to these same things. But safety and security. Are you CTPAT certified or validated? What kind of processes and policies do you have in place to make sure that the freight is going to move when you said it was going to move, that it's not going to be tampered with, and it's going to arrive in one piece? Alignment. Find out what Havertys' strengths are, know what your strengths are, and then see if you can align those two together. I've had carriers come in and tell me, that they had this great service from point A to point B, and that I really needed to use that service. But they never asked me, where were we shipping from and to, and what was the mix of our volume. So just spend some time getting to know your customer and getting to know what their business model is. And then also, I think something that's very important that could be overlooked is cultural affinity. And I think it's important because it will help you develop a long-term relationship with the importer, with the retailer, or the raw goods importer, raw materials importer. And then these three things, I think, lead to and build on brand awareness. And I think that it's important to realize that a company has probably invested quite a bit of money in developing and promoting their brand. And they want to make sure they're partnering with companies and other vendors and service providers who are just as interested in protecting and promoting that brand as they are. And that goes to the long-term relationship and commitment. Havertys has been around for a long time. We plan on being around for a long time. And the view that we have and the culture that we have in that company is the long-term vision, stability. Let's see what's going to happen in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. What's going on with the generations, that kind of thing. So again, I just want to thank and I appreciate the time today. And this has been a great event. Appreciate it. And Eric Scholar from Home Depot, please feel free to come up.